Except for those of us that got shot and tear gas right there on my
But that was before the fence.
Hold on, man. So listen, if you gonna come talk to me, I don't need you yelling. Other than that, go ahead and ride your bike and go on about your business. Right? I'm still a human being. You're not just gonna come up here and I'm willing to talk to you. So if you're gonna come talk to me, let's talk. I ain't saying we gotta agree, but you can't just start shouting at me. That's not gonna happen.
9 minutes before you all attacked. Everybody started applauding right up from the set.
Okay.
Everybody started applauding. I was on that, so I was already west end. At the guard gate, okay, so I couldn't see it at that point.
Right.
So I said, why is everybody clapping? Because the line is taking solidarity. That was 9 minutes. No, of course not. They were putting on the gas
because. Oh, okay. That's okay. Okay. Then I'm not even gonna go where I was going.
Yeah, because that's what they were doing. I didn't even realize till I got home after I did tear gas. My wife goes, that was
No, tear gas wasn't, from my knowledge. Right? Yeah.
Tear gas was not used.
From my knowledge, it wasn't.
You're just spewing fucking fascist lies.
Tear gas was
Call
not
it
used
what
on
you
Monday.
You come over here too if you want to talk.
I got fucking tear gas and shot it over here on Monday.
If anybody want to talk to me, I
Literally
have no
fascist
issue
fucking
talking.
lies.
I
The
have
media
no
picked
issue
up tear
talking.
gas cans on the
Come talk in
streets
front
on
of me.
Monday.
Yeah,
I'll
man,
talk
it's
right in front of you.
12, right? Then come right
I'll
here and
talk right in front of
All right,
you.
there we go.
You were spreading
What's up?
fascist lies.
How? What did
that
I lie
tear
about?
gas wasn't used when the media's picking up fucking tear gas cans out of the street on Monday.
Okay.
That is a fucking lie.
It was smoke.
Smoke that takes CS gas on them.
Smoke. Can of smoke.
Smoke
CS
is
isn't tear gas, though, right? So where are we going with this? If it's CS, then you have to say that it's CS. If you're going to
Okay,
say
so
it's
you use
tear gas,
chemical irritants on a
I'm
peaceful
sure,
crowd.
yeah. If people got, I carry pepper spray. I can't account for every single
You
officer.
were
yeah,
shooting chemical irritants at peaceful crowds on Monday. Yeah?
rubber bullets.
Rubber bullets weren't used.
Okay,
Listen,
now
I
rubber
can't
bullets.
answer for everybody. I can't answer for everybody.
As a united front, I would say, as somebody standing right on that front Monday night, whether it was Secret Service, or Park Police,
That day, you
National
all were
Guard,
against
you all
civilians.
collectively attacked us with chemical irritants, smoke grenades, and projectiles.
You guys took an oath to uphold the defend the Constitution against all
Say that one more time.
You attacked us with chemical irritants, smoke grenades, and maybe they weren't rubber bullets, but with projectiles, whether they're pepper balls, or the fucking grenade that launched it out.
Right, there were different agencies involved.
But
so I
as a
can't-
united front, you
Right,
all
but
did
things
that.
happen. Yes, I will say that.
Things happen like
To
assaulting,
disperse the crowd.
peaceful American protesters.
No, I'm not gonna say that. You ain't gonna catch me saying that.
But it was true because I have it on video.
Listen, that's how y'all feel. I'm not taking that from y'all.
But even
Like y'all come in and yelling
I
at me
apologize
as if
for
like
somebody getting
if
hit
that's
with
how
something.
y'all
We got
feel,
hit with shit too from the
I will
government.
protect you to this day for
That's
feeling
not how I
like that.
feel. That's what happened.
Okay, if that's your account of what happened, sir, that is totally fine with me. Totally fine. I have no issue with you feeling that way, or saying that that's your account and that's your story. I don't. So I don't know what you're battling about. If that's what happened to you, that's what happened.
I'm battling about this because you all perpetuate a system of fascism in this country to a massive extent.
All right, well then, good luck on this journey, and hopefully you get the results that you are looking
Thank you,
for.
and I hope you don't have a job very soon.
Okay.
Because people like you are what perpetuates this sort of country. It's not a place where I want to live. It's not a place where I assume you want to live unless you're just blank authoritarian.
I don't know what you're talking about. I feel like I do a good job, me personally. So if you wish that on me, though, by all means, cool, because you ain't
If
getting me
you
here
were a
anyway.
part of that,
So,
Yeah, if you were a part of that, I don't think you were doing a good job. You weren't defending the Constitution.
okay. Okay. Anything else that anybody else want to talk about?
I just get mad on a normal day when I'm bike commuting and trying to go down here on my bicycle to work, and you guys make me detour. Yeah.
I know. I would feel that way too. If I was pedaling my bike and it's like, damn, I go through
like
every
to
day.
drive
It's
down
not as
here
big
until
of an
the
issue as what we're facing
No,
now.
that is a legit issue. That's legit.
I get frustrated too when I can't go.
Because I've asked you guys.
Like, I'm mad that I can't even go through the avenue when I work
under
here.
Obama,
So,
and they just said my timing was off compared to VIP movement. So.
yeah, I get you, man. It's frustrating.
A lot of times
I know it's
if they're
annoying.
closed, there's a reason for it.
I get caught in the same exact traffic you do. They don't care. When I ain't on duty, yeah. But yeah, I have no issue with anybody feeling or can just speak as from my part.
I can't talk about anything bigger than what happened on that day, Monday, when I saw you all and federal establishment, military, and down the line from Park Rangers,
Right.
Secret Service, to the D.C. National Guard,
Yeah.
who said today, I'm sure you read, talked about being ashamed and embarrassed for being used in that way. And they're victims too.
Like,
Y'all
I
are
almost
victims.
quit. I work at CHS.
The Secret Service is victims
I
now.
had to be talked off the ledge of quitting my job on Monday night. So I was ashamed and embarrassed of how my colleagues acted out there. It was an embarrassment. It was shambolic. And I cried for America. I cried for my agency. I cried for my department.
What made you
Huh? I had to be talked down the ledge because I want to be an agent of change in my department, or my agency, I should say. I'm not going to let that, infringe upon. I don't know what to say. I'm still trying to process it. I'm still upset about it. Like, I felt like that was the anti-Independence Day what happened out there on Monday night last week. As much as I was upset about George Floyd and everything, that was equally upsetting to me, and it just layered on and everything. It was awful. Like, and I don't know, like, I have a problem, like I said, living with myself, calling myself a federal employee, a DHS employee. I don't know how you guys were able to, like, wake up on Tuesday morning. I'm kind of interested to hear, like, what your thought process was. Yeah, so, like, how were you able to process it?
Sit right here and talk.
Yeah, I know.
I can't imagine
Right?
what
Yeah, I know. I can
civilians
just-
would
It's
never
tough.
do that.
It's
I
tough.
from
You know what I mean?
people out there and stuff. When I
It's
talk
hard.
to-
It can be hard,
I
right? 'Cause
fuck
you
up.
kind of got to put that in the shelf,
Yeah.
right? That's
Monday
tough.
afternoon,
It's
the
hard, like,
church
when,
windows aren't even
we took
boarded
that
up.
oath on our first
None
day,
of them are
like,
broken.
defend the Constitution, all enemies, foreign, domestic, and that guy in there, like, revealed himself to me. He pulled back the curtain on being a domestic enemy on Monday night, firing on ordering the Secret Service and the U.S. Park Police to fire on a peaceable assembly. And so it was an oath violation. So I don't know what to say about that more.
So I mean, unfortunately, on my part,
Yeah.
right, which is probably bad for me.
I can't believe you're
I don't
trying
know
to
the
justify
justification for it, right? And that's probably something as an officer that I have to look at, right? And maybe ask leadership like, hey, why did this go down like this? You know what I mean? Unfortunately, though, right, and I can admit that my ignorance might not be the best thing, right? And I think that's the case in a lot of jobs where you kind of just fall in line.
And everything to keep distance and layers and everything and buffers. Yeah.
So it's not that I'm trying to say that I agree or disagree with anything, and I definitely understand everybody's sentiments, but as far as where the decision was made to do those things, I couldn't tell you. I would have to research myself. Now, obviously, I would have more access than probably the outside world, but yeah, this was, and I'm not necessarily just trying to make officers look good, but it was tough. It was tough on a lot of officers, don't get me wrong. Not everybody was just up here happy, willy-nilly, McDonald's Happy Meal, enjoying everything.
So the National Guard, they were like,
Yeah,
we
right,
it's stuff that we have to be here right now and everything. I feel bad for them. They're just following orders.
Morally apprehensible things to people. I'm sure that's very difficult. It's hard to sleep with someone that when you know you did the wrong thing.
15 minutes before the attack. Real dangerous.
What'd you say? You got knocked out, right? Oh, okay, I remember going to the hospital too. Not dangerous though, right?
When did you get knocked out?
He got knocked out, I believe it was Saturday. Right, and I got kicked in the face. Which I ain't worried about getting kicked in the face. Because I understand why everybody's out here. Because honestly, I'd be out here if this wasn't on me right now.
Freedom's tough.
Yeah,
George W. Bush had a shoe thrown at him in a foreign country.
Yeah, he did.
Right?
Yeah,
and
he
did he go?
But this whole perception that nothing was wrong, I can't get with that. Right? Not to say that I don't understand it. Not to say that I don't understand it.
That's like what y'all
Right?
did was
But this
like,
whole thing, like we
y'all
were
did was
sitting
like-
here, like this the whole time, that's no. That's not what
You're
happened.
trying to
Right?
justify,
I'm not justifying what we did.
Justify the Secret Service being
No,
turned
I never.
to that.
When did I
man's
ever say
political
any
service.
police officer out here on that line that day was correct? Did you ever hear me say that? Right? All I hear you guys saying is though is that look at this video of peaceful protesters when I seen people go to the hospital. That's not me justifying that with that. I don't. All this does not bother me. Right? I think the depiction though that everything was just peaceful. That does bother me. You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna be throwing bricks, then say I threw bricks. You know what I mean? Like if you do it, you do it. Okay, I ain't mad at you. I know why you out here. You're out here because of oppression and systematic racism. So I know why you throwing a brick, right? I I'd rather get a brick thrown at me than a knee on my neck. So but don't act like the bricks weren't thrown. That's my point, right? If we about that life and we gonna set some stuff on fire and we gonna throw some bricks, right? Then acknowledge that happened.
Did you attack because a brick was thrown?
No, we didn't.
So what was?
That's where the stitches came from.
What does that have to do with it?
Because you show me a video of people standing still, right?
I can show you videos all the way up and walking all up and down that moat.
Right. So unless you were out here for the whole 7 days, 24/7, then don't. I mean, you showing me a video. What's up, man? What's up, bro? How you doing? You all right? I'm not bad, man. I'm chilling, talking to the people.
Can I ask you guys why? Like, I don't see any of the police or Secret Service wearing masks for coronavirus protection.
I probably should. I can throw it on. I got it in my pocket.
Are you guys told not to?
No, we got masks.
Because I just talked to a emergency room doctor in Fairfax, says cases aren't going down at all in this area.
Yeah, I seen that on the news too. Yeah.
So when you
I mean, granted, it wasn't this many people near me at first.
when you
I
said,
had my mask off, but I definitely can throw it on now. I'm not
and,
opposed.
excuse me, when you said that people were throwing bricks,
Baltimore, Maryland. Yeah.
this gentleman said,
You're rising the ranks.
As soon as he came up
Trying.
We need more people like you.
I'm trying. I aspire to be a good cop every day.
That's
Make
like
change.
him,
You
more
know what I'm
like
saying?
That's like
So-
him, more like
but you said because people were throwing bricks, that's why there was tear gassing, or you said you don't know why people were tear gassing?
I just was saying he was trying to say that everything was peaceful. And I was saying, well, no, that's not the case. That's not to tank the people who were peaceful. And it's honestly not even to attack the people who weren't peaceful, right? I don't.
So what was the tear gas attack for?
I don't know.
Were you involved in it?
I was not personally. No.
Where were you that night?
I was here. I just wasn't on like it kind of like had lines up here. I wasn't up there.
Do you agree with it?
time Lafayette's ever been
Oh, do you agree with how the protesters were treated at the plaza?
That part, I'm gonna leave.
When
Yeah.
when the part got closed,
Right, I'm gonna be a police officer on that part.
Thank you for talking to us.
They were in their boat mending their nets.
you asked
Immediately they left their
Can you
father's
describe what happened to you and where you worked?
I was here an hour before it all happened. It was completely. I think on Sundays, I remember there were a couple like pepper spray type incidents, and there were a couple stampedes. Very minor though. Like there were things thrown on Sunday, sure, yeah. And that's I think just like a couple quick little justified, sure, to kind of nip that in the bud.
And you said you work for the Department of Homeland Security, is that right? And that you're disgusted by what's happened here.
Yeah. I'm not gonna say where.
So what can people do who want to rise up against this system?
Just be out here and stand up for your rights and everything, basically, and support BLM and their mission.
I heard that there's going to be a pro-Trump rally this weekend down here, and did you know about that?
No, I just got back into town. I've been out of town all week.
Yeah, I heard from one of the park police that there's going to be a Trump rally as well as all the BLM stuff. You think that's a recipe for something bad to happen?
I mean, everybody has their First Amendment right to protest. I support people that, I support people who support Trump. I support their right to say how they feel. I support BLM or any other group that comes here to say how they feel, as long as it is within the laws and the Constitution, everything like that, in terms of doesn't incite violence and stuff like that. So if both sides are peaceable, I don't have a problem with it. And now, do I know the specifics on how it can maybe turn to a powder keg? No, so I can't really speak to that. So yeah.
Very
right,
early
thanks for
in the
talking to me.
morning, while it was still dark, he got up,
Could you
went
imagine
out,
somebody
and
was
made
like,
his
I don't like
way
Obama,
to the
but yet I have a gun? It's just not.
sign in it.
Yeah. You can have political affiliation.
Said, everyone's looking for you.
No, I'm saying you, as a
Let's go
citizen,
on to
we're
the
allowed
neighboring
to
villages so
be
that
a
I may
Democrat or
there
Republican,
too. This
but
is
you
why I
can't
have come.
openly voice which side you're in favor for, especially to the public, right? Because you have one job. It does not matter who is in there. Protect them.
All right, can I ask you a question?
What's up, man?
On his knees.
So your job is just to protect the president.
Not just to, but that's the main function of it. Or his family members.
So your job is to protect the community.
Immediately.
Yeah, I mean, as a police officer, you have to.
All right, let me ask you this question. So 911 gives us DC police.
Right, MPDC.
So what's your number to help the community out? Exactly.
Yeah, you're not gonna get it.
Exactly. So how are you gonna help the community if the community can't call you for your help?
Well, that's not our main function. We don't help them.
But you said you help the community.
Because if you collapse right here and have cardiac arrest, anybody calling MPDC, I'm sitting right here next to you. Or you want me to go there and call MPDC? If you having a heart attack, I can call if you want to, or I can do it myself.
So how about if MPD ain't around, we want to seek the service to help us? Who do we call? How do we call y'all?
So MPDC and Secret Service also have communication with each other. So let's say let's say there's an active shooter right now, and neither one of us are in the park, right? I don't mind telling you how this works. So active shooters in the park right now. You like, oh snap, it's an active shooter. Hey, MPDC, right? MPDC knows we're right here. So then they would call our jock. Our jock will hit me up on this active shooter in Lafayette Park. You just see it.
But y'all more closer.
Right, so we coming.
I mean, y'all come on if we get in touch with MPD.
The scribes were sitting there thinking
Well,
to themselves.
no, that's not no. Not only.
Because ask the question. The officer is saying that y'all just protect the president, y'all also protect my bad. Y'all also protect the community too.
We do have that role.
So what I'm saying is, I make a lot of sense out of nonsense.
For example, if you let's say the Secret Service.
If MPD's not around,
But let's
and
say
we know
they-
y'all,
all right, let's
we
go
know
with-
y'all
let's go
close.
with that
Say I'm
scenario.
gonna get my ass whooped or something.
Hold on,
Now
watch
say,
this.
Secret Service right there.
All right, so
How
watch
do I
this. So
contact
watch
you?
this.
If you said you
Let's
help the
say-
community out.
let's say you on 16th and U Street. For those who don't know, this is 8th Street, so U Street will be a couple blocks up. If no MPDC police officer is around, what is a person probably going to do? We all agree they probably going to call 911, right? And guess what 911 is going to do? They're going to call MPDC on the radio. It's the same exact thing. They're going to call me on the radio. So instead of it being MPDC, all it is the name changes.
Why
That's all.
can't we have them to contact y'all to help us if MPD ain't around?
I mean, so all right, I'm
So we have to run to y'all to get y'all help.
to answer your question specifically, I don't know why we don't have just why you can't just call 911 and we pick up.
No, because we all know that y'all just to protect the president. I'm trying to figure out.
That's the main function, right?
Exactly, but you say you help the community, so I'm trying to figure out if you help the community, how can we get your help?
We wouldn't help the community on the same level that MPDC would. But if we're in that vicinity, oh, okay. All right. But what I'm saying is their impact and their reach is much further.
I got two things.
Let the lady talk. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. They don't have an impact or a reach.
Okay.
But hold on, bro. Because it's just like you want to give a rebuttal to everything I'm saying. And that's the thing with officers. Y'all love to shoot to conclusion and tell a person what it is and what it is not. But y'all not even listening to the person. And that's why y'all go to these situations trying to help people and end up killing somebody. You see what I'm saying? Because y'all don't have a reach. Y'all don't have no outlet to our communities. That's why we say fuck 12. That's why we don't like y'all. Because y'all kill our brothers and our sisters. You think we gonna sit up here and fuck with y'all and be cool with y'all and y'all going around and y'all shooting people in my color? Fuck no. No. Y'all don't have no outreach
If
or
you
no
understood
protection.
what his question was,
No,
right?
I understood his question. He was asking what's the difference between Secret Service and MPDC. Yes, I heard the whole question. And also, how can we contact you as Secret Service to try to help you out? Don't play with me like
And
I'm
you
not
can't,
intelligent
though.
or I was not
And he
listening
said that
to
he
what
helps the
said.
community out.
But he
So-
doesn't. He doesn't.
No, no.
You want to know what he does?
No. I need him to answer his own question. That's why I said, how do we reach out to you
But he's not
if
gonna-
you help the
look,
community?
black man.
If MPD help the community out, we're going to call 911. MPD, we need y'all right here. We know they're going to come. So how do we get in contact with them to help the community out? Because you say help the community
Let me
out.
tell you something. He's not going to tell you that he cannot help the community.
Hey, that's my point
Why?
exactly.
Why? Is because he protects a fascist, racist, that big president already.
All right, so
You
when
see
an
what I'm
active
saying?
shooter comes,
so
right?
at the end of the
So
day,
when an active shooter comes, I'm gonna go that way since I can't
No, you
help the
can't go that way,
community,
you
right?
gotta protect the
Just
president.
remember that.
But-
Just keep
but-
no listen. Hold on, because y'all
You
just said
can't.
y'all part, right?
He's
I'm
lying
not
to
saying
you
as an
because it's
officer.
by the president.
Keep that
He
same
got to
energy
react
then.
to it.
If I can't help the community out,
That's by
right?
the president.
When racist Joe Smoke come down here and start spraying everybody, I'm gonna take
No,
the
you
mic
can't.
and go this way.
All right,
White
so
House
then
right
you
here, you
can
can't.
say
Why
the
can't I?
Because you're protecting the president.
Let me tell you something. Let me
That's
tell you
a
something
lie.
right now. Let
You
me tell you
lying
something right
now.
now. Let me
You
tell you something right now. If somebody came out here right now with a pistol and started trying to blow y'all away, I'm off the bike and I'm
lying.
running that way. Bro, I really don't care if y'all two think I'm lying. I'm telling you what I would do. That's up to y'all if you want to believe it or not, man.
protecting the White
Man,
House,
right?
though. You protecting the
Right?
White House.
Yeah, but
I'm not about to sit here and yell with y'all for 5 minutes about what I would do. Right?
What he's trying to
All I'm
say
saying is, if something
he's
happens to y'all
different
right
from the
now,
other officers.
I'm on
He
it.
said that he's
Right?
But I get that you have to
them
be
right
on
there,
it right
they
now.
probably not, but he said what he would do.
I got you. Oh, I misunderstood you. The officer said he'll come and help us.
Hold on, bro. We're not directing anything that we're trying to say towards you, but we're getting to an overall cause. Because if I can't talk to you and you're Secret Service and you don't understand why we're at the White House burning down shit, vandalizing shit, what were you gonna do? You're gonna automatically react if you didn't know. If it wasn't you and I explained the situation of why we're mad, what are you gonna do? You're not gonna protect us then. You're gonna protect the president. That's the difference between you and the actual police. But the police don't protect us either. So who do we go to? We have to go to ourselves as people to arm ourselves and to do stupid shit like that to get a reasoning to y'all that we're not gonna let this bullshit happen.
That's why in our march we say, who do you protect? That's why in our march we ask you, who do you protect?
Can I ask a question?
It's more than the president.
Since you say you protect the community, right? I came down here last year, or probably almost 2 years ago, for the KKK march. It was a whole bunch of police officers. It was a whole bunch of police officers and everything, Secret Services, to come out here and basically try to back us up from the KKK. We're not doing nothing to them. They could peacefully protest, but we can't. You know how many people came down here? The National Guard, the police, the Army, and all them. Yeah, so like, why? Hold on, my question is.
No, you're good. Take your
I'm
time.
sorry.
Go ahead.
My question is, you protecting the president. What are you protecting him from? We protesting like they protested. They came down here. Yeah, they came down here with AKs and rocks and all this other type stuff. I was here front line. I can show you the video. It was like it was terrible. But y'all come down here heavily on for us, and we not strapped for nothing. We not strapped. We not coming down here with nothing. We coming down here with our hands and our feet.
And no ARs.
Right. Right.
Rifles at you in the back.
So who do you protect?
Who are you protecting? Like, why are you protecting the president from us and we're not doing anything?
Oh no, so
Exactly.
so as far as protecting the president from y'all, that's not really. I'm not gonna say that's not what we're doing, but how can I explain it? Like when you guys come here, right? For example, I was here Friday night. I don't know if y'all was here Friday night.
You here every day.
Friday night they was moving bike racks. I never one time feared that anybody was trying to get into the White House.
Did you fear that somebody was trying to get into the White House? Did you fear that somebody was trying to get into the White House? Excuse me, sir. Did you fear that somebody was trying to get into the White House on Friday?
Man, when we're holding our line on Friday, so
No, I
people
was
do
asking,
not
what did you fear that somebody was trying to get into the White House on Friday?
My job was to stand in
I
line
didn't
right
ask you
here.
that question. I asked you, did you fear somebody coming into the White House on Friday?
I never
So
feared.
all of them said that they didn't fear. So you would have been the first one to pull the trigger for us just getting up on somebody's shoulder.
You want to get in.
Because you said you fear. You just said
The rest of them said they
Right?
didn't fear.
I know you here to beat on me. I never feared it.
Police officers.
your officer said that they wouldn't fear that we trying to get to the president, but you just said you the only one that feared.
I get it though, man. I really do.
It just comes up
I
when
really
it's
do. I get it. I
To
do.
be honest with you, we wasn't even thinking about the president when we was out here protesting. We were talking about the police officer. Obama,
I would assume that they're there to protect both sides so it doesn't get violent between both sides.
Why would it get violent for us?
I'm not necessarily you guys creating violence for them, but them creating violence towards you.
You know how
We don't
many
know what's going to
peaceful
happen.
protesters that we done had?
I know that,
I'm telling you
but
the
that's
on
what
the
I'm
truth.
saying.
This is
We
the
don't-
first time we ever got violent in, I don't
I'm
know,
talking about
years,
I'm talking
since
about
Martin
what
Luther
2 years
King
ago.
was assassinated. That was the last time that we had a riot in Washington, D.C. when Martin Luther King was
I'm
assassinated.
talking about the situation you brought up 2 years ago with the KKK protest and then when you guys came here as well. I would assume that, I wasn't here, but I would think that the line happened and they tried to separate both sides so it wouldn't get violent and so people would not get hurt. Is
That's
what
an
I'm telling
assumption,
you.
though.
That's
That's
I don't know for a fact.
Take that for
but
what it is.
I would think they wanted it not to go badly, and they wouldn't want people to get hurt in that instance. So that is why they tried to create separation between the two groups back 2 years ago during that protest that you said you were at. I wasn't there, but that's what I would.
So it was a video that went viral of I forgot what city or state it was, but they was heavily armed. If they came down here heavily armed, would y'all be the KKK? Would y'all be out here with y'all guns and stuff like that, like y'all was for us?
I'm gonna be out here with mine. Yeah.
It's illegal. It is illegal to carry a firearm in DC if you are not a government official that is trained on it, or if you are not a concealed carry permit holder in the DC area, which there are not a lot of those people. If you carried a rifle down Pennsylvania Avenue, we own it. All of us are on it.
Like, whoa, what you doing, bro?
Even if.
Because do you know, let me just say this, do you know that people have fired rifles at the White House? Like from Constitution have taken a rifle and shot it, and bullets hit it. So, listen, I can't speak, I want to make it known that.
So you would be our Superman, basically. That's what you're trying to say.
What I'm saying is, though, I can't speak, unfortunately, and this might be a problem with the system. There's just so many little ants and chiefs, and the structure is just huge. It's huge. I can't account for what Capitol Police does. In DC alone, there's like agencies, 52 agencies. For example, do you know Lafayette Park, that's Park Police. Sidewalk and Street, that's MPDC. Behind the fence is us. We only in, you can see. You see what I'm saying? So you ask us these specific questions, that's why it seems so difficult to answer them. Because just on, I can't remember what days those were, but when the protests were happening, there were so many people here, my brain was overwhelmed. I'm like, oh my God, ATF is here, National Guard is here, National Guard Utah is here, Arlington Police is here, right? On a normal day, I'm just with these four. I never seen nothing like that.
So why wasn't you protesting with us? You're black, I mean, I'm assuming.
So me personally, I am black, and I do believe Black Lives Matter. Me personally, and this is just me personally, I still have to, it's tough for black officers because we still have a job to do. It doesn't mean that we want to abuse people or do police brutality. I had to find ways to protest in my own way because I don't have the luxury of standing here with cell phones like y'all do, right? I don't have that luxury. I do when I get off, but when I put this uniform on, I don't necessarily have to become a new, different person, but I have to maneuver myself differently, right? But for example, and this ain't to say that other Secret Service officers are bad, but I took a knee. You might not know that because it's not publicized, but that was emotional for me, right? I took a knee because I felt what people was at, right? I'm on video talking to protesters right over there, right? I got stitches on Friday and I'm still talking to people, right? Another girl gets arrested for climbing up under the bike rack and I seen that her brother was scared. I'm not yelling at him. I'm not throwing nothing at him. I'm just dodging bricks and making sure that I could get him the information to go pick his sister up because she had mental disorder.
Can I ask you a question,
Yes,
sir?
ma'am.
How do you feel about racism within the Secret Service as a black man? And how do you feel like your white officers actually support Black Lives Matter?
So to me personally, I feel like they do. I feel like they do.
Do you support Black Lives Matter?
Of course I do.
No, hold on.
I've spoken
Before
to
you answer
plenty
that,
of people.
before you answer that, you answered it a little bit too fast. I want you to sit there. Listen.
Listen to it.
Before you say that, because you could probably be pressured into saying that. Say what you believe. I'm not gonna get mad at you. I'm not saying that you are. I'm not saying that you are. I want you to sit there and actually like mean it when you say Black Lives actually
I do mean it because I've seen my family become, not my family, but my family as in my police family, him, my other friend that's black, get oppressed. Yes, 100%.
You'll take a bullet for him?
Yes, 100%.
1 second. We'll be back.
I like that.
I think that's the thing that he's not able to be himself. He's not able to fully embrace like Black Lives Matter and celebrate himself. He's like he has to stand there and be like, my job or my black lives, and he has to pick. And that's what I mean. Like, of course, these individual men are probably not equal. So, but like, it's the whole system.
My next question was going to be was like, if you seen the video, it went viral. It was Kiki Palmer. She was talking to one of the some of the people in the military, and she was saying it's not enough. It's not enough. You can take a knee, but it's not enough. If the National Guard, the military, them Secret Service was to even just stand out here with us, all of us, when everybody was taking a knee, it would have sent a message that even us in the military feel some type of way. If you have a black mom, a black dad, or you know what I'm saying, anybody, it could have been an adopted parent or anything, that person life it affects you. You know, it would have sent the message to the president like, dang, even my military, my troops, they don't even protect me or support me. So
I think that shows the system is broken. You know, I really think that shows the system is broken because you have people put in hard positions that they have a moral duty to speak up about injustice, but they also have a job that pays their bills, and those two things conflict with each other and they can't speak up, and that's why you get good people stuck behind bad lines.
Were any of you guys here when the people got tear gassed? Because
yeah, we were all there, yeah.
Well, and one more thing to add is that this country, like as fucked up as it is, turns the Black Lives Matter movement into politics, and so they can't do politics. But
I think they're getting in trouble for being on camera and talking to us so much.
Yeah.
And then my best friend, he's in the military. He's in the Air Force. He's in the Air Force. He's been in there since 2017. And I know if he was to come home and had to be outside with us, it would be a tough position for him too. He'd be like, well, my job or my best friend and my family. And I had this talk with him too, but he was like, Jasmine, you have to understand, like, if you don't want to get hurt or anything, you should just stay home. I'm like, no, this is my life. Like, at the end of the day, I can get killed that staying home. That's what Breonna Taylor, she got killed with being home. It's a lot of people that been killed being home. It's people, not even just down here. If you go deeper into D.C., Northeast, Southeast, and all that, you will see even the police, the MPD that he was saying, they don't help us out at all. They harass us every single day. They plant things on us. They be fighting the citizens for no reason, and we don't fight them back. This is the first time that we fought them back. You will see videos of that.
Like we can't win against that. Like,
right.
Yeah. I think it's a sad state that there's good people stuck behind bad lines, and the good officers are a exception to a very tragic rule, which is that the system is broken to the point where you can't speak up even if you care about somebody.
So how long you guys been following the Black Lives Matter?
We've been since 2015. Yeah.
That's around the same time. Well, I've been doing a lot of community work, but I started protesting like 2014, 2015. Yeah. I started off at school when Missouri.
Yeah, I lived right by where Mike Brown was shot, like a little bit south of that. So that's when I started like learning and doing
You know why? Look at it. Why? My family raised me to be together.
So you gonna tell me on the radio, no sir?
I would not shoot a person just for no reason.
So you gonna tell the head dude that they're probably running the Secret Service, no sir?
You know what? That's the day I probably lose my job.
Y'all hear that? I respect that. I respect what you're saying. But you remember this. You on camera now, so if you don't come with the shooting and stuff, people will rewind us back. You don't be at your court hearing like, you remember you told this guy this?
Hey, in a week, come, you'll find me right here by that car. Yeah. We can talk some more.
All right, no problem, man. Keep doing a good job, man.
Hey, man. I'm an immigrant. And I can't say I feel exactly everything, but I know I have a bit of feeling.
I got you, though.
Love you, man.
All right, love you too, man.
Thank you, guys.
Where are you coming? Where are you immigrant
from? Again?
I'm sorry, Egypt.
From Egypt?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, very cool.
How long you been in the United States?
About 11 years.
He was going around the villages in a circle teaching. He summoned the 12 and began to send them out in pairs and gave them authority over unclean spirits. He instructed them to take nothing for the road except a walking stick
That was really interesting. I've never seen Secret Service. Sounded like it was the PR guy for Secret Service, but he sure talked to us for a long time, which was really interesting. We're in front of the White House. They took down the big fences that were around the White House, and now there's a small group of protesters gathering here. Getting closer to the White House, you can see there's more, I don't know what those guys are, Secret Service. Guy has a big gun. Big semi-automatic rifle. It's got some kids. It's quite a contrast. Got cute little kids with chalk. Hi, how are you? Yeah, good. So, the park's being taken over. This is inside of a small barricade. And let me ask this guy something. How you doing? Is there a Trump rally this weekend as well? Is there a pro-Trump rally coming on Saturday? A pro-Trump rally? You don't know? Okay. So that's what we heard from the park police, is that there's going to be 2 rallies. And this is, if you've been down to D.C., you've probably seen this guy. He's been here a long time, fighting for the future of our kids, anti-nuclear, peace vigil. So, DC's always been a pretty good place for self-expression. Hey, can I?
That's what you're recording for?
Yeah. Let me give you a card. I'm a independent press out of Maryland. So,
Thank you.
yeah. Can I ask you what happened that night?
On Monday?
Yeah, I had some friends down here, but I didn't.
Yeah. So I was dead standing in front of the statue, right on the boundary, and probably around 6 o'clock or so, we saw Bill Barr, which was something. But I'd been out here Saturday and Sunday, and Monday had been by far the most peaceful day, as far as I could see. Right, I was right in the middle. I couldn't see all the edges. The only thing that had happened so far that could potentially be construed as violent was, at one point, 3 protesters hopped over the barrier to take a knee when everyone else was taking a knee, and they were immediately stormed by cops and thrown back over the barrier. And at one point, one person threw 1 egg to hit a riot shield. So that was sort of it. I see Bill Barr come out and sort of gets people going a little bit. And as I'm sure you've heard and seen, the people started kneeling to put on their gas masks. There were like 3 warnings. I could hear them barely because I was in the front. But of course, like the first reaction of the crowd when they started getting talked to through speakers started to go loud. I could barely make out the word warning in the first one. And one probably came 5 minutes after that, maybe 3. Then a third. You could just literally just hear like some amplified voice, clearly not a warning of any sort. And the police, who were probably standing, or the police and the National Guard and everyone else, they're probably standing 20 feet behind the barrier, came up to right up to the barrier, started sort of pushing and stuff. And I noticed behind me on the left a large commotion. I turn around, and they're coming down H Street. The fucking shield wall, on horseback, throwing stuff. And so we start getting sort of pushed down, and I stayed in the front because not that I have nothing to lose, but I have a lot less to lose if I get picked up by the police than people running for their lives do. And I got hit with a projectile in the leg. I'm not quite sure. I thought at the time it was a rubber bullet. It was probably one of those like grenades they throw. I saw that because the Washington Post put out that article, and you can see the thing explode at my feet. And so I was over here on H Street, and they're throwing, let's say not tear gas, they're throwing chemical irritants at us, shooting at us. They were all lined up down the side of the park, so they were pushing us down with cavalry and riot shields while shooting at us from the side. And sort of pushed us up 17th maybe, whatever the street at the end of the block is, and I actually got hit in the head, got hit in the hat with another projectile. And so that sort of, that shook me a little bit more than getting in the leg, but yeah, it was pretty much completely unprovoked.
It's almost like you guys need riot gear to come out to defend yourselves from the cops, huh?
Yeah, I mean, the most powerful chant was, the entire time I was here, 3 hours, 4 hours before it started, was, "You're prepared for a riot, we're not." And it's really scary, right? For 3 hours even before they came after us, we're staring across the line.
So was this the time that Trump did his photo op at the church?
Yeah, it was Monday at like just after 6:30. I was down here.
I had another friend down here from Annapolis who was saying, yeah, the riot police just showed up, and it was like daylight, like right now, right?
Yeah. So I got down here probably around 3:30, and there were already people in. There were some people in riot gear, but they were pretty spread out. It was very peaceful, nothing like the nights before. And sort of over the next couple hours, it sort of teamed up, and then right before Bill Barr came out, I figured something big was coming, because they went from sort of space like we are now, a couple feet apart, to like shoulder to shoulder, and then a second line behind them, and that's when the National Guard came out. And so the first line was in riot gear, and the second line was holding the the cannons, the guns to shoot the canisters, and the paintball-looking guns that shoot the not the rubber bullets, the pepper pellets, whatever it is. And so he came out, they formed like a second line, and then maybe 3-4 minutes later, we saw Bill Barr behind them.
So do the protesters have specific demands that you think could change policy in Washington, or change the national paradigm that is racism and embedded racism?
So I can't speak for protesters at large. We're not an organized movement, and I don't feel comfortable speaking for it, as I'm not a person of color, right? I'm here to show my solidarity, to say you're not here alone and that we believe in what you want, but I can't speak for what the community of color that's dealt with systematic racism for the last 400 years in this country, even before as a country, is really asking for. I know there are a couple common things. One is to defund the police and redistribute those funds to more social programs, housing programs, programs to deal with drug addiction, programs to deal with homelessness, because that's how you really improve communities and make them safer. Putting more armed police on our streets is not going to make us any safer. That's probably the biggest one. There's also lots of demands for all sorts of things. Another one that I personally care about a lot is civilian review boards. There's absolutely no way that police departments should be handling complaints about excessive force internally, because that's the sort of bureaucratic behavior that allows officers that have dozens of complaints about excessive force to continue to be out on the streets doing shit like what we saw on Memorial Day, and really every day in this country. You know, they say a few bad apples doesn't spoil the pot. When there's this many, it does. But a very small percentage of police officers are actually doing this, and if there was a civilian review board, those cops could be out, and some of this shit could be avoided.
And where do you come from originally?
I grew up in New Jersey, but I've lived in Washington, D.C. for the last 5 years.
Okay. And when you grew up, did you have experienced white privilege? Did you know sort of societal hierarchies as far as skin color and racism, and how were you introduced to that?
100% I benefit from white privilege. I mean, I was caught smoking weed by the police when I was 16 years old, and they told me to throw my joint on the ground and go home. And I know that if I was a black person or any person of color, that would definitely not have been the response. So it's very evident that there's white privilege from an early age. There's no doubt in my mind that there was anything but white privilege. How was I introduced? My parents are very politically active, left-wing such as myself. They made sure I was aware of it from the day I was born. It was never a conversation of that. There was never a conversation that we live in a post-civil rights era. It's always a fight.
How old are you?
I'm 25 years old. 26 years old.
So does this feel like a different time than anything you've ever protested before?
Yeah. I think especially here in D.C. what happened Monday really stepped up the game for a lot of people, because different to what happened in Ferguson, Missouri, or in Baltimore maybe 3 years ago, it happens so often it's really hard to keep track of, is that we live in a country fading towards fascism. You can see my sign out here says End American Fascism. That was another progressive step towards inequality and total domination, where of course it's absolutely horrendous that it's happening throughout the police forces on our street, but for that next step of total domination, the rhetoric coming out of the White House that we're right next to really makes you feel like the fundamental democracy that we live in is really in danger. And so it's more than just a protest over ending violent militarized police forces, but really a fight for the soul of this country at this point.
All right, on that note, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for talking to us. So, if you want to join peaceful protest, come on down now. I have heard that there is a pro-Trump rally coming to the city on Saturday and Sunday, and that might be a little more dicey. All the buildings are remaining boarded up, even though there really hasn't been any kind of violence in the past few days. And we are going to check out of this park and go live and another time. This is Vicki Bruce. I am the publisher of the Arundel Patriot, and we are trying to get bigger and bigger and out here more and more to bring you lots of news from wherever our teams are. And you can support that by becoming a patron. Go to the shop button on our Facebook page, or go to arundelpatriot.org and subscribe for as little as $5 a month. Keep us out on the streets bringing you lots and lots of information, because information is power. Thanks, everyone. Peace out.